Hello, everyone, and welcome back to One Arm Wednesday. Today, we are going to look at the assisted one arm pull up. Well, we're going to look at two different variations of the assisted one arm pull up. We're going to dissect them and figure out which one may or may not be better for you and your current situation. So sit back and let's get to it. First off, remember to like the video if you do enjoy it and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I'm trying to work my way up to that magical 1,000 subscriber count and appreciate all the help. So thanks in advance. Today, we are going to look at two different variations of the assisted one arm pull up. One with the resistance band that I showed in a previous video where you hold it with your opposing arm, and then one with the resistance loop where you actually use your feet to support yourself, allowing your other arm to go through the range of motion like you typically would through a one arm pull up. So let's break them down. Starting with the resistance band variation, your pulling arm will be on top of the pull up bar and your other arm will be supporting your body by holding the resistance band either near the top or at the bottom, depending on where your current progression is at. From there, your legs will be freely hanging, usually in a kind of tight position, so that way you can engage your core. And then you will drive yourself upward using your main pulling arm while having a little bit of assistance in stabilizing and pulling the band downward with your opposing arm. You'll then lower yourself down and the rep is complete. For the resistance loop variation, you are going to have your pulling arm in the same position as before, but you are going to be supporting yourself with your feet by driving the resistance loop downward. This allows your pulling arm to be free, and when you are twisting up through the motion, you'll be able to drive your shoulder upward towards the bar, similar to a one arm pull up. Then you will lower yourself down and safely get yourself out of the resistance loop without having the band fly up and hit you in the crotch and cause lots of pain. Both of these variations are going to help you get to your one arm pull up, but they each have unique strengths and weaknesses that you may want to weigh when going through your training. So let's break those down here. First, let me just note that these are both coming from my personal experiences with both variations, so there may be different nuances that I might not list here. If there's anything that particularly pertains to these methods that you find useful that I don't mention, list it in the comments below, and then I'll try to share those in future videos or highlight them for anyone that's watching this video. When it comes to the equipment themselves, they're going to be very similar, whether it's a resistance band or a resistance loop. Price and quality are going to be very similar and on par and available in most areas. But I will say that if you don't have either of them, it's easier to do the arm supported variation because you could just substitute in something like a towel or any sheets that you have available that are sturdy enough to support your weight. It's a lot harder to do something where you're supporting your weight and having a bungee type approach by using the feet supported method. So if you don't have access to the equipment, you might want to go with the arm supported variation, at least in the short term. One reason you may want to do the foot assisted variation over the arm supported is that it will fully mimic the one arm pull up. The reason for this is when you are going up to the top, you are going to be twisting yourself and trying to drive your shoulder up to the bar. And while the arm supported allows you to get some of the twisting in, it's a lot tougher to actually get that shoulder drive up because you are also trying to simultaneously be pushing the band down. So with the foot supported variation, it's a lot easier to mimic and get your shoulder up towards the bar. Another benefit of the foot assisted version is you are able to keep your opposing arm fresh and you're able to do one rep on one side and one rep immediately on the other side without the second arm being fatigued from having to support the other arm on the previous rep. So, this is something where when I've had to train with the band assisted approach, I would take a rest period in between reps just so that way that arm is fresh to go at the other rep. The leg supported version will not have that issue. Now, two quick benefits for the arm supported version is that, first of all, I found it much easier to actually get into. You just have to grab a hold and go from there. While the foot version, you almost have to use some strength to push the freaking band all the way down and get your foot in and get supported. So, from a personal comfortability standpoint, I preferred the arm supported, but that could also go person to person. So, do which feels best for this particular category. The other aspect I do enjoy about the arm supported is that there's two different ways that you can change up how you progress this. You can either move your arm up or down the band, or you can change up which band you're using. For the foot supported, you're really at the mercy of just which band type you're using. So progressing at the start could be a little bit more challenging if you don't have your arm at the top. You could always have your non-pulling arm at the start with the resistance loop at the top, maybe holding by one finger, but then that may impact the actual movement pattern itself. So I tend to find that the arm supported version, having multiple different ways to overload, is a small plus for that aspect. Now, a lot of comments that I've been getting recently are people that are struggling to either initiate the one arm pull up or they're struggling with the lockout. And while both of these variations are very similar in that it will be easier at the beginning of the movement and harder at the end, I found that one method over the other will be easier at the beginning versus being easier at the end. So, for the resistance loop or the foot assisted version, I found it much easier to initiate the pull, and the arm supported version I found much easier to lock out at the very end. So, what this could be in your training is if you're someone that's maybe struggling to initiate your pull with the assisted one arm pull up, you may want to consider the foot supported version. So that way you're able to get some reps of at least getting up into the next stages of the pull. While if you're someone potentially that is, absolutely crushing the top portion of it with the arm supported version, you may want to go to the foot supported version to make the top part more challenging. So you can use the strengths and weaknesses and accommodate to your own particular training program based on this research. And the other option too is you could just do both of these and just substitute them in, do 3 sets on one and then pick up the other one and do 3 sets of the other. And you'll still get some benefits from all the different subtle nuances of each of them. For me personally, because I've already gotten my one arm pull up, I'm going to stick with the arm supported version. Also, because I really just am afraid that that band is going to slip and go up and hit myself in the nuts. Yes, I mentioned it earlier, but as someone that used to play tennis and got hit multiple times down there, I would prefer never to have that happen again. So I feel a little bit more secure with the arm supported version, and it's something that I've been doing for a while. But if you do the foot supported version, that is something that we can definitely be a good tool to progress your one arm pull up. So let me know in the comments which variation you'd prefer. If there's anything I left out on any of these variations you want me to dive into in the next video, and just anything about the one arm pull up in general that you want me to cover in the future. Please subscribe to the channel again, like the video if you enjoyed it, and have a great day, everyone. Let's go get that one arm pull up.